Good afternoon. Thank you all for attending my presentation on why the age of 21 is too high for a legal drinking age in North America, specifically the United States. Before we begin, I'd like to go ahead and pose a question to you. Did you know that by the time they're 18, 60% of people have had at least one drink in America? That means that over half, almost 10% over half of people in our country have illegally drank. But with a drinking age of 21, you wouldn't think that'd be the problem. You would think the purpose of the higher drinking age would be to eliminate this statistic. This affects our age group predominantly. Our age group is usually 14 to 18 in high school, and in the college class that we are in, 18 to nearly 20. We are almost all of us underage. So the fact that we are being accused of drinking before 21 and that stats show that we are drinking under 21, it affects us and it creates a social issue. The higher age is what creates the issue in our country. It creates strict limitations on people, specifically those who are of the age of 18 and are legal adults, recognizes that in our country, but yet do not have all the full freedoms that they deserve. This affects Maslow's law and need of esteem. It affects our need for respect, our need for equality, our need to be one with those among us, among our indigenous groups that we are part of. I myself have credibility in this area because I am underage. I'm 17, I go to a high school publicly, and I attend college classes online. I know how the public scene is for underage drinking. I've been to the places where teenagers and people who are underage drink, and I know how that can affect us when we get older and how it has affected people I know when they have gotten older. Throughout this presentation, I'll be telling you the three main points of why we need to lower the drinking age to at least 18 when we become full adults. First reason is going to have to do with our military, how you can enlist in the Army at the age of 18, but you are not allowed to drink until the age of 21 on America's soil. The other will reflect our statistics of alcohol abuse along with other countries who have a lower drinking age, such as 18, 16, and even 14. And lastly, we'll be showing the social issue of teen drinking and how the high restrictions on alcohol along with the extremely high drinking age is going to hurt our teens more and more as the years progress. So, our military. If you didn't know, the legal age to enlist into the military is 18 years old. That is also the age where you become a full adult. 20 years ago, there was a census done by the U.S. military in the year 2000, and 20% of our Army was from the ages 17 to 20. That meant that 20% of our Army, across all of its different subsections, such as Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, could not drink a drop on American soil. This is an issue because it shows disrespect to those who have signed up to give their life. There are people in the Army, kids who are only 18, some even 17, who have signed up to go to another country, to go off American soil or on American soil and lay down their life. They're allowed to use heavy machinery, heavy firearms, things that are military grade, not that any citizen could use, yet they are not entrusted with anything such as a simple 1% alcohol beer. This interrupts Maslow's need of esteem. They don't have the respect or equality that they should have among their fellow soldiers. This is taken further when the 50-mile law is incorporated. There's a law that says if you are within 50 miles of a country that allows you to drink while you are on base, while you are enlisted, you can drink. So that causes division in our ranks of our Army. There are some people who are 18 that are sent overseas. That's where they're put at, that's where they're stationed at, and they're within 50 miles of a country that allows them to drink, and so they are allowed to drink on base, which is technically American soil. But there are people who are stationed here that cannot drink even though they are also on American soil. This would cause division among ranks and would make people feel unequal to each other in matters they're not even in control of. No one can control where they're stationed at, where they're sent to. This really is what hurts the law of esteem. They have the law, when you enlist in the Army at 18, that gives you the option to fully die, but you're not fully free to live. You cannot express every freedom that you should be given in America, but you are fully free to lay down your life for the freedoms that you aren't even granted yourself. Beyond that, there's the drinking in other countries. Beyond how our military would view this affects us socially in our country as well. Countries with lower drinking ages, on average, have far lower abuse numbers for alcohol. Alcohol abuse in America is an extremely high number. 26.45% of Americans abuse alcohol. They meet the standards for binge drinking on a daily basis and have alcohol abuse. This number, when reflected with Italy, in which the age is 16, reflects approximately 10% less alcohol abuse, specifically 15.9% of binge drinking in Italy, which is a country that is primarily renowned for its drinking, such as wine and more delicate drinks. Then you have Spain, which again, the legal age is 18, only reflects 1.5% of alcohol abuse. These numbers are drastically lower than America's, and it's because these people have been trained and they have been entrusted with alcohol from a young age. Therefore, they've been given the experience and they've been given the know-how of how to use it, how it affects them, and how to use it without being dangerous with them. Our lack of experience is what hurts us in alcohol. We have been told our whole lives that it's so dangerous and it's almost been demonized to us that by the time we get to 21, even if we don't jump into alcohol head first, if we're not going into it binge drinking, we have such limited experience with it, if any experience with it, that the newfound freedom we feel with alcohol hurts us. It makes us abusive. It makes us want to binge drink it. It makes us feel like we finally have all our freedoms and it's time that we can express them. Whereas these other countries have had this from the young age and they've been taught by their parents, by their older figures, how to use alcohol responsibly. This is the amount of binge drinking there is in America. And now teenagers. This is the largest concern I have with the alcohol age being 21, is how it affects teenagers and their relationship with alcohol. Teenagers have the natural ability and want to rebel. We rebel against laws, we rebel against parents, we rebel against authority most of all. It's our hormones, it's how we've been taught, it's how teens are portrayed in media, literature, everything. We have been taught to rebel and our hormones help us rebel. The heavy restrictions placed on alcohol that we have been taught as a young age have always made alcohol something that we would always rebel to. It has always been the thing that teens automatically go to. 12% of youth from ages 12 to 20 meet the criteria for unsafe alcohol abuse. That's not 16 to 20 or 18 to 20. This is ages 12 to 20. Sixth graders, people who are just starting middle school, meet the criteria for unsafe alcohol abuse. This shows that just because we have such a high alcohol age and because we limit it so much, place so many restrictions on alcohol, teens automatically flee to alcohol when given the freedom that they can, when they get the ability to obtain it illegally, they go there. And this reflects on my personal experiences. The unsafe conditions in which teens drink alcohol are dangerous, and they get more and more dangerous. Unlike if alcohol was legal for teenagers, such as the age of 16 or 18 to drink, where we could drink it in a social setting, at a bar where there's drink cutoffs, or socially with friends and parents where we can all drink together in a socially acceptable manner without reaching unsafe levels. Now when teens drink, they decide to go to unsafe locations, usually where there's low signal or where there's not many roads to it, hard to find. They drink in unsafe quantities. They buy as much cheap alcohol as they can with the highest percentage, usually cheap vodka such as Tito's, or off-brand liquors such as bootleggers, which is higher alcohol content for lower price. And they drink with no supervision with a multitude of people who are also drunk there with cars around. These are all recipes for disaster. The high alcohol age is what's hurting our country, specifically, and what's forcing our teens to drink in an environment that can cause them accidents, can cause them death, and could cause them to ruin the rest of their life with an addiction that they did not ask for. Our military, our country compared to other countries, and our teens should be enough reason for a social problem. They should enforce our governor, our president, our leaders to change this law, to reflect on how we've viewed alcohol and how much we restrict alcohol, and maybe decide that the time for demonizing alcohol is no longer now. That it is time to reflect. It's time to give freedoms when they are earned at the age of 18, when you were entrusted to go serve, go fight. At the ages of 16, when other countries do it, so that people may grow, they may have experience. Or again, the ages of 16 to 18, where teenagers can learn in a safe environment and can experience in a safe environment rather than being in unsafe conditions where they could either die or obtain unnatural and addictive connections to alcohol. If alcohol is continued to be demonized like this, and our age limit continues to stay at 21, then the social problem will continue, and we will have no hope for our teens to ever be in a safe environment with alcohol. But if we lower the drinking age, then the social problem will somehow start to dissolve. It will start to mend itself, and we will become a more naturally connected country with the topic of alcohol and view it less of a taboo and more as something that we can see as a normalcy or an etiquette. How many people do you all know? How many people do you know that have drank underage, or that have drank as a teenager, that have gone off to parties, died in a drunk driving accident, died drunk, been hit by a drunk driver? How many people do you know that the alcohol abuse in this country has hurt, has affected the families it's ruined? How many of you have decided to drink underage? How many of you, when you reach the age of 21, are going to jump to alcohol? And how many of you live in fear that because we've been restricted from it our whole life, when we jump to it, when it's legal, it won't matter? That the abuse will be there, that the statistics for us to be addicted to an abusive substance will be there due to a higher age.